Welcome to the channel. In today's video, we're diving into the enchanting world of miniature wooden houses, those small, handcrafted architectural wonders that are so detailed and stylish, you could place them right on a tabletop. Whether you're a collector, a woodworker, a miniature artist, or simply someone who appreciates tiny design with big personality, this video will walk you through the aesthetic, structural, and decorative aspects of creating or styling a small wooden house that may only be a few inches tall, but is packed with charm, detail, and artistry. From selecting the right materials and tools to painting, carving, and furnishing the tiny interiors, we'll explore how to bring these miniature marvels to life. Now, let's begin with the foundation, literally. A tabletop wooden house might stand no more than a few inches to a foot high, yet its structure mimics the complexity of a full-size building. The base is typically made from a solid wood block or a layered plywood platform, designed to support tiny architectural features. For a rustic look, reclaimed or aged wood adds instant character. For something more refined, you might use light, fine-grained woods like basswood, balsa, or pine, which are easy to carve and sand. These materials allow you to add intricate siding, shingles, tiny doors, and windows. Some designs even include stone-textured bases made from polymer clay or sculpted plaster for added realism. Roofs can be slanted, gabled, or flat, just like real homes, and are often made using thin wood tiles, paper shingles, or hand-cut bark slices. Even in miniature, a steep roof adds height and charm, and tiny overhangs or carved eaves contribute to the overall style. The facade of the house is where the visual magic begins. Some creators lean into a folk or fairy tale aesthetic, carving vines and flowers into the wood around windows and doors. Others stick to clean, Scandinavian lines, favoring smooth finishes and simple geometric shapes. You can use wood-burning tools to etch in faux siding, trim, or even brick textures. Window openings can be cut out or simply painted on. Tiny frames, shutters, and flower boxes give the model a warm, lived-in feeling. For the door, a small piece of basswood with carved grooves or a glued-on handle from a bent wire makes it look surprisingly real. And with the right touch of paint, weathered whites, deep greens, or warm chestnut browns, you can make a tiny house feel like it stood for 100 years. Now, let's talk about style. Miniature wooden houses can reflect the same diversity of design as full-scale homes. A rustic cabin might include uneven logs, a tiny faux chimney, moss along the roofline, and miniature firewood stacked by the door. A modern tiny house model could include sleek lines, a flat roof, big for scale, windows made from clear plastic or resin, and a minimalistic color scheme, blacks, grays, and warm wooden tones. A Victorian-style miniature house can go all in with gingerbread trim, scalloped shingles, ornate door frames, and pastel paintwork. Cottagecore-inspired models might include tiny lace curtains in the windows, ivy creeping up the sides, and miniature ceramic planters. The possibilities are endless, and part of the joy is choosing a style and following through with consistent details, even at a tiny scale. Inside the house, yes, some of these models are open-backed or have hinged roofs. You can add interior design touches as well. Tiny wooden furniture, felt rugs, miniature books, and clay dishware can all be crafted or purchased to decorate the inside. The floors can be lined with real wood veneer cut into miniature planks, and walls can be papered with printed patterns scaled down for realism. Lighting, too, is possible. Some enthusiasts install tiny LED bulbs to illuminate windows from inside, giving the whole model a glowing, cozy appearance when placed on a shelf or tabletop. These internal lights bring the model to life at night, and the shadows they cast make the details pop even more. But let's not forget the decorative detailing, what you might call the inquiries, or the ornate embellishments that give a tiny house its personality. Tiny carvings on the wood facade, hand-painted floral patterns around the windows, or tiny metallic accents for door hinges and latches elevate the craftsmanship. You can use tiny metal findings from jewelry-making kits to create miniature sconces, railings, or lanterns. Moss, twigs, or bits of bark collected from nature walks can be repurposed into realistic landscaping elements. Add a tiny path made of crushed gravel or faux stone, a picket fence made from toothpicks, or a birdhouse the size of a fingernail, and suddenly your tabletop house becomes a full miniature world. Scale is incredibly important in miniature design. Most tabletop wooden houses follow a scale, such as 112 or 124, meaning 1 inch in the model equals 1 or 2 feet in real life. Sticking to a consistent scale ensures that every element, doors, windows, furniture, feels believable within the context of the house. When items are too large or small, it disrupts the illusion. That said, artistic license is always welcome, especially if you're building a whimsical or fantasy-inspired house. For creators, the process of building a tiny wooden house is incredibly rewarding. You begin with sketches or plans, measure and cut your base components, sand and assemble with wood glue, then move on to carving, detailing, painting, and decorating. Some creators use laser cutting machines for precision, but many prefer the slow, handmade process of working with a blade, file, and steady hand. Patience is essential. Each detail, from a tiny doorknob to a single flower petal, contributes to the overall feel. These miniature houses aren't just cute. They can be meaningful gifts, collectible art pieces, educational tools, or even used in storytelling, photography, or stop-motion animation. They're also popular as fairy houses in gardens, as bookshelf decorations, or as part of seasonal displays. Around the holidays, for example, a tiny wooden cabin with snow on the roof, warm yellow windows, and pine trees dusted with glitter makes a perfect winter centerpiece. In spring, the same house can be placed in a terrarium or surrounded by moss, stones, and blossoms for an enchanted woodland scene. Collectors often build entire miniature villages, each house with its own theme. One might be a bakery with tiny bread in the window, another a forest hut with a thatched roof, and another a seaside shack with a driftwood door. By varying the roof lines, colors, and decorative motifs, you can create a narrative across your models, maybe even inventing characters or stories behind each house. It's part craft, part storytelling, and part sculpture. Creating your own tabletop wooden house is easier than you might think. Start by selecting your base materials. Thin sheets of basswood for the walls and roof, balsa for trims, and popsicle sticks or matchsticks for details. Use a sharp hobby knife for precise cuts, and a small hand saw if you're working with thicker pieces. Sanding blocks, tweezers, fine paintbrushes, and wood glue are your best friends. Assemble the structure first, making sure it's square and stable. Then move on to painting or staining the pieces before final assembly. This prevents paint from seeping into joints. Once assembled, begin layering on details. Glue on shingles, install doors, frame windows, and add all the little extras that bring your miniature to life. When choosing paints, go for acrylics, water-based, and easy to layer. A combination of dry brushing, washes, and highlights can give your house depth and realism.